I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Father Time Network. Hope everyone is doing well. My name is Anthony, and on this platform, I talk about how important it is to be a father. I'm here to make being a father cool again. But before I continue, let's get into the intro. Today, I want to talk about, should children be held accountable for their actions? And me, as a father of three, I'm going to always hold my children accountable for their actions. Because once they become adults, they're going to be held accountable for their actions. So why not teach them that at a young age? For instance, if you got to maintain your room, keep your room clean, go to school, maintain good grades, come home, do your homework, and you're not doing any of those things, there's no way I'm going to reward you for that type of behavior. Meaning buying you, the sneaks that you want, new devices, taking you out to the movies, amusement parks. I'm not doing any of those things if you're not handling your business. If I'm popping up in one of my kids' rooms and the room is constantly dirty and I'm calling up to the school and, they're not maintaining their grades or turning in their homework, there's no way that I can reward my child for that type of behavior. So, yes, I'm going to always hold my children accountable for their actions. As me being a father, I believe that when you hold your child accountable for their actions, it teaches them discipline, something that they're going to need once they become an adult. If you don't teach your child discipline at a young age, once they become an adult, they're not going to have no sense of direction in life. And sometimes, as a father, when we lay down these rules and we are holding our kids accountable for their actions, they tend to rebel against us, right? And sometimes as fathers, mothers tend to think that we're too hard on our children by holding them accountable for their actions. And then that causes the child to sometimes stray back to the mom where things are a little bit more smoother. Women are nurturers. So when it comes to a child not handling their business and doing the things that they're supposed to do, when it comes to keeping their room clean, doing what they're supposed to do in school, sometimes the mothers can be a little bit more lenient in those areas opposed to a father. Me, for instance, I constantly pop up, in my child's room. And when I see that it's not neat, it's not clean, you have trash everywhere, we need to get this together immediately. So if you're laying across your bed stretched out and your room is a mess, you got clothes all over the floor, your dirty clothes are not being washed and folded and put away neatly, we're going to address that right now. I'm not waiting until you feel like you want to get up and start cleaning your room up. No, you need to get up right now and get your room together. That's holding your child accountable for their actions. And a lot of times when, you do these things, you get, the sucking the teeth and all that. And, under my roof and my household, I'm not going for none of that. No back talk, no none of that. If I ask you to do something, that means I want it done now. And see, that's the difference between being a parent and trying to be a friend to your child. I'm not here to be a friend to my child. I'm here to be a father. That means a provider and a protector. Also, when you're a father and you're being a protector to your children, they don't understand when certain things you don't allow them to do. Sometimes when a father is strict on their child, holding them accountable for their actions, and the mother is not, if you notice, the child tends to try to run where it's a lot more easier at, which is with the mother. And a lot of times the mother will embrace that. To me, that's not good for the child. Because once your child becomes an adult, the world is going to make sure your child is being held accountable for their actions. If they're not going to work, they're not going to have no place to stay. They're not going to have no food to eat. If they're choosing to do the wrong things, that means not obeying the law, then 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to be in jail. So this is what I'm talking about teaching your kids how to be accountable for their actions early so they don't wind up homeless or in a jail cell. See, as me being a father, like I said, that's what I'm always going to do. And it seems like sometimes us as fathers, us as men, it's always like a tug of war match when it comes to us disciplining our children. And I understand that children make mistakes, but I also understand that children know right from wrong. And sometimes these children just choose to do the wrong thing. And if you're blatantly choosing to do the wrong thing, I have to hold you accountable for those actions. I'm not going to reward you and pat you on the back for choosing to do the wrong thing. Because there's a lot of kids in this world that make mistakes, and there's a lot of kids in this world that choose to do the right thing. It's all based on mindset and the environment. If your children is hanging around a bunch of kids that's doing the wrong thing, chances are your child is probably going to start to do the wrong thing. Me personally, some would say I'm a little strict. If you ask, my child, I'm a little strict. But I'd rather be a strict parent than a lenient parent and my child get hurt, injured, or gets involved in something that they can't get out of. See, I once was a child. I made mistakes as a child. So once we become adults and we become parents, the main thing is to try to teach our children not to make those same mistakes. And it's just upsetting that us as fathers, sometimes when it comes to us chastising our children and holding our children accountable for their actions, it seems to always be a tug of war match with the mother. Both parents are working together, holding the children accountable for their actions. They're going to be that much more well off. If I'm disciplining my child a certain way, I don't need mom to come in and try to tell me, oh, you're wrong about the way you're disciplining our child. Because now that's going to give the child room to put the two parents against each other, to try to play two parents. Children are very smart, and they can sense when both parents aren't on the same page. And sometimes children will try to play on that. But me personally, I'm going to always hold my children accountable for their actions. Because when they become adults, what I don't want my children to do is live their lives blaming other people for the things that's occurring in their lives. Because once you become an adult, right, you have the opportunity to mold your life into whatever you want. It's based off the decisions that you make. So if you start your child out early, focusing on making good decisions, 9 times out of 10, once they become adults, they're going to be that much more well off. Being a father is not easy, especially when you have to constantly fight for your position as a father, as a leader, as a protector, as a provider. It's not easy. And sometimes you're going to be looked at as the bad guy. But know this: as a father, always move with the best interests for your children. No matter how hard it may seem, no matter how much the children don't understand it, as you being a father, you know what your intentions are. And that's wanting the best for your child. So sometimes it's going to require you to crack down. Sometimes it's going to require you to say no. Sometimes it's going to require you to hold your child accountable for their actions. But as long as you have the best intentions for your child, keep parenting the way you're parenting, and don't let nobody come in between that. This is the Father Time Network, and I'm here to make being a father cool again.